What is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here on my channel, some time ago I created a series of videos to give you guys the basic knowledge you need to start your own fight against hair loss. But a lot of people are having trouble finding each video or just following the playlist. So what I did here is I collected all the videos in one really big video, and basically it's just a combination of all the videos you need to see in the right order. So if things seems a bit confusing, or if I change my outfit, or it seems like my hair changed from one video to the next one, just keep in mind there's been several weeks between each of these videos were made, and I'm just collecting them here just for the easiness for you guys, so you easily can get access to them and don't have to shift around. With that said, enjoy the videos. Are you struggling with hair loss and do you not know where to start and stop your research? I remember how complicated dealing with hair loss was and finding a solution back in the days. This is why I've created this series that will take you through the ABC of hair loss, so you know all there is to know about the fundamentals, so you can start your fight against hair loss after seeing this video series. What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. This video is the first in a series of videos that will cover all you need to know about hair loss and how to deal with it. In this series we'll go over the following subjects. Video 1, this video. Why do we lose hair? So this video will explain why we are losing hair based on science and studies, and give you the fundamental understanding of androgenic alopecia. Video 2, how do we combat DHC? This video will explain how we can combat the problem child of our hair named DHT. Video 3, growth stimulants. How do we grow new hair? Well, the topic kind of speaks for itself. Video 4, inflammation and how to reduce it. After this video, you will know why inflammation is a bad thing, so this is clearly one of the reasons why this is a topic. And last, we have video 5, different approaches to dealing with the problem. In that video, we will take a look at how you can combine the knowledge you have gained from all the other videos you just saw in a protocol that just might be right for your daily needs and wants. Before we start the video, I would like to explain that this is still a work in progress. So I might add to the topics and I might change the titles of the videos, but the overall topic will still be the same. I would also like to add that I might have missed some interesting topics, or there might just be something that I don't know that I should know about. So if you got any inputs or comments to the overall topics that I just described before and showed on the screen, please feel free to comment in the comment section below, and I will definitely take a look at it. The whole plan with creating these videos is that people will have a series that explain the basics of all popular topics when we are talking about hair loss. And if people watch this series, I hope to answer all generic questions and also give the audience all the necessary knowledge to go out and gather knowledge on their own from now on. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Philippe and I suffer from hair loss too, and these videos are just my contribution to the hair loss community, so that others might find value and benefits from my experiences and my experience when they take on the fight against hair loss themselves. As the plan states, today we are going to talk about why do men, or why do we lose hair. Male pattern balding, also known as androgenic alopecia, is one of the most common reasons that men lose hair as they get older. I want to state that women can also experience this type of hair loss, but it is much less common. About 30 million women in the United States have this type of hair loss compared to almost 60 million men. So the demographic clearly shows why it's called male pattern baldness when we talk about androgenic alopecia. Sex hormones in the body are believed to be the most significant underlying factor behind male pattern baldness. And the major culprit is a name you probably already have been introduced to in your fight against hair loss or your search for a cure. This bad boy is named DHT, and it is short for dihydrotestosterone. DHT, or dihydrotestosterone, is an androgen. An androgen is a sex hormone that contributes to the development what is thought as male sex characteristics, such as body hair, body odor, but it can also make you lose your hair faster and earlier. But before we talk about hair loss that is caused by DHC, I thought it was a cornerstone of how to deal with hair loss to be able to understand why DHC is in our bodies in the first place. So why do we have DHC in the first place? Well, DHC is what's called an androgen hormone. This means that basically when you grow up and you hit puberty, you will start to produce a lot of what's called the 5-AR enzyme. This enzyme takes a little part of your internal testosterone and convert it into another hormone called dihydrotestosterone. The reason for this is that DHT, or dihydrotestosterone, is about 5 times as strong as testosterone in producing male characteristics. It is these characteristics that will make something like, well, your penis will grow for them and your beard will start growing. Your voice will deepen and you'll start to produce chest hair and so on and so on. The production of DHC is also responsible for correcting how long or how tall you will grow. This is also why steroids is a really bad idea in an early age, since it will mess up this procedure for sure in your body. So DHC is a very important hormone that is created from testosterone by the enzyme 5-alpha reductase enzyme. So how does this work? Have you ever had a friend who couldn't drink milk without camping at the toilet for the next 5 hours? Well, this friend probably lacked the other enzyme called lactase enzyme. This enzyme will reduce lactose into simple sugars, and basically it is because our body doesn't want lactose, it wants sugars. And lactase will modify the milk sugars, which are called lactose, into something that are way more compatible with our bodies. This is also why when you don't have the enzyme, you can take a pill that is full of that specific enzyme, and it will make sure you can drink a glass of milk without gassing your neighbors for the rest of the day. So we take the 5-AR enzyme, we add it to our hormone testosterone, and we get DHC. And as I just said, DHC is responsible for a lot of good things when we are in our teens. But what is DHC's job after our teenage years? Well, I'm really sorry to tell you this, guys, but this is taken directly from the National Institutes of Health. And it says DHC does not play a significant role in the normal physiology of adults. The most notable effects are prostate enlargement and male pattern hair loss as they age. And I would like to agree to a large extent. This is also a good opportunity to share some information with you guys. I do have videos on DHT and the importance of it. Actually, I have a lot of videos, to be fair. But I would also like to encourage you guys to visit a YouTuber named Kevin Mann's channel. The channel's name is Hair Cafe. I want to make this very clear. I do not know Kevin, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't know about me. And I surely do not agree with all his statements. But Kevin has a very interesting view on DHT. And even though I don't agree with all he has to say, I would like you guys to go and check out his channel and learn more about DHT from someone who is not me. That way, you guys will get a much broader perspective on the whole subject about DHC. So we know that DHC is produced by the enzyme 5-alpha reductase enzyme, converting testosterone into a stronger version, dihydrotestosterone. And we know that DHT is not needed for anything beside prostate function and hair loss, apparently. So what does it actually do that makes us lose our hair from DHC? I made a little drawing ready for you guys here, just to explain the basics of it. So DHC is causing something called follicle miniaturization in our scalp. Basically, this is shrinking of the follicles. And if you don't know, the follicle is where the hair lives, where it grows, to keep it fairly simple. So what happens is that DHC, for some reason we don't know yet, will cause follicles on the scalp. And mind you, this is only on the top part to shrink. Simply, it will work as if you cut off the blood supply to your arm with a rope. First, it will lose blood circulation. It gets inflamed and slowly shrinks to a stage where it actually at some point will just fall off on its own. Your hair have a process that is much similar to this. what we usually see is an increased amount of inflammation that is caused by the DHT, and some believe that the inflammation is the root key to hair loss, and other people think that it is just a byproduct of hair loss. Either way, we will have a focus on this in this video series. As time progresses, you will experience an increased itchiness in your scalp. This is the famous DHT itch, and your hair will begin to get thinner and thinner until it just completely stops growing or falls off. Although keep in mind, the DHT itch is a very popular term for the whole hair loss community. But what I actually believe is happening is an increased amount of microorganisms living in your head, which is causing the inflammation and itchiness. You see, when you get inflammation in your scalp, it will increase your sebum production. This then gives great living space for these little monsters that then will increase your scalp inflammation, and it is a vicious cycle of death in your scalp. But don't worry, we will cover this topic in this series to a solid extent. And this is basically how you lose your hair when you suffer from androgenic alopecia. To sum it up, DHT is produced by the enzyme 5-alpha reductase enzyme, converting testosterone into a much stronger version, dihydrotestosterone. DHT is about 3 to 5 times as androgen as testosterone is in the first place. Remember, androgen activity is what is causing the hair loss. DHT is not needed for anything besides enlargement of the prostate and hair loss apparently. Constant exposure to DHT will lead to inflammation, increased number of microorganisms living in your scalp, and then increase your hair loss and cause hair loss in the first place. This concludes the first video in the series. I haven't found a name for it yet, so if you got a good suggestion, please, you're welcome. In the next video, we will cover the topic how to fight DHT. Keep in mind, the topic name might change, but the content won't. And you can always watch the playlist for the series that I've created if you are getting lost in the whole order of videos. I want to acknowledge that there are tons of other approaches and theories about hair loss. But this is, by my knowledge, the only accepted globally theory for male pattern baldness. Even though, don't let this hold you back from investigating other approaches or theories. If you have any comments to this video, or you have wishes or suggestions for the next couple of topics, feel free to leave a post down below so I can cover all the topics you guys have questions for. I hope this covers this topic, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Cheers. DHT is the main cause of hair loss in over 90% of all cases in men. But knowing what causes your problem doesn't really solve them. In this video, we'll go over the different options you have to fight off hair loss by reducing or even blocking your DHT. What is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. This video is the second in a series of videos that will cover all you need to know about hair loss and how to deal with it. In this series, we'll go over the following subject. Video 1. Why do we lose hair? This was the previous video. So in that video, we explained why we're losing hair based on studies and gave you the fundamental understanding of androgenic alopecia. Video 2. How do we combat DHT? This is what we'll cover in this video. This video will explain how we can combat the problem child of our hair, namely DHT. In video 3, we go over growth stimulants, how do we grow new hair. Video 4 is about inflammation and how to reduce it. And last, we have video 5, different approaches to dealing with the problem. In that video, we take a look at how you can combine the knowledge you gain from all the other videos you saw in a protocol that might just be right for you and your daily needs and wants. So if you haven't seen the first video where we cover the subjects of why we are losing hair, I suggest that you go and take a look at it before you watch this video. This series is created so that you will get all the information in the right order to understand hair loss and learn how to deal with it. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Philippe and I suffer from hair loss too. And these videos are my contribution to the hair loss community so that others might find value and benefit from my experiments and my experience when they take on their own fight against hair loss. As the plan states, today we are going to talk about how we reduce or even block DHT. In the last video, we learned about DHT and why this bad boy is the root cause of your hair loss. But now that we know what is causing hair loss, what can you actually do about it? There are two main approaches to dealing with hair loss from DHT. The first option is to reduce DHT so it doesn't affect our hair as much as it used to do. The second option is to block DHT from doing its malicious work on our precious follicles. And last, we'll talk about combining the two for a nuclear combination that will both remove some of the DHT but also block the remainder that we have left. So let's start with the first option. As you learned in the previous video, DHT is created in your body by the enzyme 5-alpha reductase enzyme. It takes a part of your testosterone and converts it into DHT. There are two medications that are FDA approved that can alleviate this problem for you. The first one is called finasteride, but also goes under the name of Propecia. It's very simple. What this drug does is that it goes into your body and on a molecular level, it looks like testosterone. This means that the 5-AR enzyme, also known as 5-alpha reductase enzyme, will recognize this as testosterone and it will then bond to it as it was supposed to do with testosterone. The thing is that this only takes the enzyme and renders it completely useless, which means that it cannot really go and connect to testosterone and convert it into DHT. Side note, this actually also frees up some of your testosterone since it won't become DHT anymore, giving you more free testosterone for your use. So how effective is finasteride? In this study, we found the following. Global photographs showed an improvement in hair growth in 48% of finasteride users at first year, and 66% at the second year compared with a 7% placebo. This means that over 2 out of 3 men will see improvement after 2 years of finasteride. That is definitely something that is worth looking into. And if you take a look at this video, you can see some of the before and after pictures of people who had used finasteride and actually ended up even reversing or stopping their hair loss. So these two things should give you a solid idea of how effective finasteride really is over a longer period of time. I know that some might say, well, how much does it actually reduce DHT? And I will answer this a bit differently than others might do. I really don't give a flying F how much it reduces DHT. Why? Because it is so individual how much DHT will cause hair loss in a person. So when people say, yeah, but it reduces DHT by 70%, which is actually pretty accurate by the way, they don't take into account if the last 30% is still enough to shred the last hair on this person. And on the other hand, another person might only need a 10% reduction to stop their hair loss completely. So do you see where I'm going with this? And since this video is not about the stats of finasteride, I don't feel like confusing you even further with a bunch of numbers that doesn't really tell you anything. So how do you use finasteride? Well, first off, it is a prescription medication in a lot of countries, so I suggest that you go and take a chat with your doctor about getting that prescription if you want it. The most common way to take finasteride, and this is what I personally do, is to take 1 milligram daily, more or less every day. It's that simple. 1 pill a day will keep the hair loss away. So what about the other option I mentioned to reduce DHT? I won't really go into a lot of details on this since it is almost identical to finasteride. This drug is called dutasteride, and the only difference is that it is able to reduce DHT by up to 90% compared to the 70% that finasteride does. This compound is being debated a ton, and I have a lot of videos on this drug, but I would recommend that you go and take a look at Hairlicious channel. I know he has been using dutasteride and he probably has some videos with his own experiences with this drug. So these two drugs can remove some of the DHT from your body. But what about what is left in your body? As I just said, losing hair is a very individual thing. And for some, finasteride will do the trick all alone. And for others, like yours truly, finasteride isn't really enough. So what can we do to step it up a bit? This is where we introduce androgen antagonists. You might know the word antagonist from superhero movies. This is usually the bad guy, but what it actually just means is that it is something that inhibits or interferes with something else. Like the Joker always trying to interfere with Batman doing his superhero thing. But in this case, the antagonist won't attack our superhero. Instead, it will be a real pain in the A and just simply block DHT from doing its job. Imagine DHT being Superman and Android's antagonist being Kryptonite. In that case, we really love the antagonists. The real explanation is that DHT needs to bind to a receptor to work. And what an antagonist will do is simply just to sit on that spot where DHT is supposed to go. And now DHT is not able to do what it set out to do. And this is good because we are blocking DHT from doing damage to your hair. There are a ton of different androgen antagonists available, but in this video I will only include 2 of them. These 2 are the most used and, in my opinion, the most effective on the market so far. The first one is RU58841. This drug has been used by people with great success for more than 20 years. It never got FDA approved, and now it is impossible to get a patent on the drug, so no company will develop it further. I've been using RU58841 for the past few years and I had great results with it. The most common dosage is 50 milligrams daily applied to the scalp. The other option is pyrolutamide, also known as KX826. Pyrolutamide is currently on its way to being FDA approved and is developed by Kinter. The most common dosage here is 5 milligrams daily, since it is far stronger than RU58841 in studies performed by Kinter. Since pyrolutamide is stronger than RU58841, I have decided a few weeks back to go off RU58841 and start using pyrolutamide. I have a vlog where you can follow my journey with my own hair loss and see how things works out for me. If you want to know more about how to use these compounds, I have several videos on how they work in detail, strength and how to mix them. What I usually do is that I buy the pre-made solutions from Anagen Inc. and I apply 1 milliliter daily before bedtime on my scalp. And if you use the code ALPHAMODE at Anagen Inc. at the checkout, you get a 10% discount on your whole order. Currently, you can buy pre-made RU58841 and there should be pre-made pyrolutamide in a few weeks. But if you don't want to deal with the hassle of mixing your own solution, I have a video for that too. But if you don't want it, I suggest that you take a look at the pre-made RU58841 compound. It's ready to use when you receive it, and the only thing you have to do is apply 1 milliliter daily whenever it fits your schedule. So at this point, you might wonder, why are these things applied to the scalp? This is actually where the magic of androgen antagonists happen. You see, we need androgen activity in our bodies for a variety of functions. This is why it's not a good idea to shut down all the androgens in your body. But these drugs will only work where they are applied. This means that if you applied them to the scalp, they will only work in that area. Now you know how to reduce your DHT and you also know how to block the remainder. This is where you are able to do some real magic, because your hair loss is determined by how much androgen activity you have in your scalp. So a lot of people are using these 2 options in a combination to both reduce DHT and also block it. And this is where you usually see a lot of regrowth in people with a bad hair loss case. Personally, I'm a big fan of combining the 2 of them. But if you don't want to mess with your hormones in your body, you can go for the androgen antagonist only solution. And if you talk to your doctor, you can go with the finasteride only option. Or you can go and just wipe your androgens with a way stronger combination of both of the options. This will work whether you pick finasteride or dutasteride and combine it with either pyrolutamide or RU58841. So to sum it up, finasteride reduces your DHT and is prescribed by your doctor. Dutasteride is stronger than finasteride but is not prescribed by your doctor for hair loss in most cases. RU58841 blocks the remainder of the DHT in your scalp, and pyrolutamide does the same, just with a stronger extent. RU58841 and pyrolutamide is topical solutions that you apply to your scalp daily, and the other are pills that you just take daily. For the best results, combine both of the options for a reduction of DHT and the blocking of the remainder. And this concludes the second video in the series. I haven't really found a name yet, so suggestions are still welcome. In the next video, we'll cover the topic growth stimulation of the hair and how to stimulate more growth. Keep in mind, the topic might change, the name might change, but the content will still remain the same. And you can always just watch the playlist for the series that I've created if you're getting lost in the order of the videos. I also want to acknowledge that there are a ton of other approaches and theories about hair loss, but this, by my knowledge, is the only accepted globally theory for male pattern hair loss. Even though, don't let this hold you back from investigating other approaches by yourself. If you have any comments to this video, or if you have any wishes or suggestions for the next couple of topics, feel free to leave a post down below so that I can cover all the topics that you guys have questions for. I hope this gave some insight in hair loss, and I will see you in the next video. You've probably already seen some crazy before and after results when it comes to reversal of hair loss. But you might still be wondering about how people actually grow new and more hairs. In this video, we are going to go over the fundamentals of hair regrowth. So if you are struggling with hair loss and want to accelerate your hair growth, this is the video for you. What is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. This video is the third in a series of videos that will cover all you need to know about hair loss and how to deal with it. In this series, we'll go over the following subjects. Video 1. This is an old video about how we actually lose hair, and if you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to go back and watch that video. Video 2. How do we combat DHC? So this is also an old video, and if you haven't seen this, I would strongly encourage that you also go back and see that. And video 3 in this series, growth stimulants and how do we grow new hair. This is today's video. Then we have video 4, inflammation and how to reduce it. And at last we have video 5, different approaches and how to deal with the problem. In video 5, we are going to take a look at how you can combine the knowledge from all the other 4 videos to take up the fight against your own hair loss. So if you haven't seen the first video where we covered the subject of why we're losing hair, and the second video that explains how you can stop hair loss, I suggest that you go and take a look at it before you watch this video. This series is created so that you will get all the information in the right order to understand how hair loss works and how to deal with it on a daily basis. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Philippe and I suffer from hair loss too. And these videos are just my contributions to whatever people is out there with hair loss problems, so that they might find value and benefit from my experiments and my own experience as they fight their own battle against hair loss. So today's topic will be hair regrowth. So I decided to add caffeine and peppermint oil to this video, since these two subjects have been asked for numerous times in the comment sections in some of the other videos. But first, let's start with minoxidil, since it seems to be a very popular solution for a lot of people out there. So hair growth is a complex process that relies on several factors, including the anatomy of the hair, the presence of stem cells, and the crucial role of capillary innervation. And if you don't know what that means, it simply means just the way that your body is supplying you with blood and nutrients. On top of that, we also have the 3 distinct phases of hair growth, namely the anagen, the catagen, and the telogen phase. Among the many factors influencing hair growth, one stands out. That is blood flow. So blood flow is essential for delivering nutrients and oxygens to the hair stem cell, which are responsible for the hair growth. This critical aspect of hair growth sheds light on various treatments aimed at preventing and reversing hair loss. And I know Kevin from Hair Cafe makes a lot of jokes about this, but I would like to draw a bit on Dr. Huberman's videos, where he explains, very simply put, how blood supply is a determining factor in growth. Again, take from it whatever suits your plate.
There are many accelerators on hair growth, but the first one that I really want to underscore is blood flow itself, which equates to the delivery of nutrients and oxygen. This is very important, and it explains a lot of the treatments for halting and reversing hair loss.
One of the most well-established treatment for hair loss is minoxidil, often recognized under the brand name Rogaine. Interesting, minoxidil was initially developed as a medication for hypertension. This drug achieves blood pressure reduction by causing vasodilation, thereby increasing blood flow. While this might be surprising, it is essential to understand that minoxidil's impact extends beyond the scalp, effectively slowing hair loss in various parts of the body. So how does minoxidil work its magic? It accomplishes this by prolonging the anagen phase of hair growth, which in essence extends the time that the hair will remain active in a growth phase. While minoxidil is effective at slowing hair loss in individuals experiencing early hair thinning or hair loss, it may not fully address the needs of those already experiencing significant hair loss. We know this from video 2, where I explained about androgen activity, and minoxidil does not simply address the endocrine problem, but rather instead a problem of capillary innervation, aka blood flow. So understanding how minoxidil benefits you in your fight against hair loss, it is also crucial to cover potential side effects from this drug. One of the challenges associated with minoxidil use is its effect on blood pressure. Depending on individual sensitivity, it can either significantly lower blood pressure or have a milder impact. As a result, physicians often initiate treatment with a very low minoxidil dosage, incrementally just small adjustments to them to find the optimal effective dosage. This cautious approach helps prevent uncomfortable side effects, including ankle swelling, headaches, dizziness, and so on. But minoxidil actually also influences the hormone prolactin, and that is another thing to consider. Prolactin is produced by the pituitary gland, and it acts as a hormone and a neurotransmitter. Interestingly, it opposes dopamine, a neurochemical that plays a role in motivation, pursuit, and drive, and so on. These two hormones, dopamine and prolactin, actually operate in a push-pull fashion. Increasing prolactin level often results from high doses of minoxidil, or heightened sensitivity to the drug can actually lead to a reduction in libido, overall well-being, and feeling of apathy. In extreme cases, it may even cause conditions like gynecomastia in men and the release of small amounts of milk in women. When it comes to minoxidil dosages, precision is crucial. The range of recommended oral minoxidil dosages can vary significantly, spanning from 0.25 milligrams up to 5 milligrams per day. That is a 20-fold difference. Topical minoxidil, commonly available in a 5% concentration, is recommended for daily application on the scalp. However, it is essential to leave the minoxidil solution on the scalp for 3 to 5 minutes to ensure proper absorption into the follicles and the underlying stem cell niche. Finding the correct minoxidil dosage often involves a trial and error approach. In some cases, people discover the right dosage through unwanted side effects like dizziness and so on, as we just talked about, or the elevated prolactin levels, and ideally, you want to start at a lower dose, so this is hence why some physicians prescribe 0.25 milligrams for oral minoxidil and incrementally increase to avoid discomfort or interruption in daily life. In summary, understanding the intricate relationship between blood flow, minoxidil, and hair growth is definitely key to addressing hair loss. While minoxidil's role in hair restoration is evident, finding the ideal dosage and closely monitoring the side effects is crucial for a successful hair loss treatment journey. I strongly advise, especially if you take the oral minoxidil route, that you work with a healthcare professional, since this can actually affect your life in various ways. So the thing where I see people are usually actually drinking minoxidil from the bottle because they can't get the prescription, that's a no-go. It's a really bad idea, guys. The next subject for today's video is microneedling. Microneedling, also known as percutaneous collagen induction therapy, involves the use of multiple fine needles to create micropunctures in the skin. So this treatment actually originated back in the 1990s, primarily to just treat skin and scar issues. Over the years, it has expanded its application, including into hair restoration. So microneedling has shown potential for promoting hair regrowth through two key mechanisms. Firstly, it increases the local concentration of growth factors in the treated area, so the scalp. This effect can actually be amplified when combining with minoxidil for a whopping 400% increased effect. Secondly, minoxidil activates stem cells in the hair bulge area, stimulating hair growth and reducing hair thinning. Microneedling has been used to treat various types of hair loss, including androgen alopecia, that's male or female pattern hair loss, alopecia areata, typically isolated bald spots, and telogen effluvium, which is hair shedding, which you also get from stopping minoxidil at some point. So it can be a standalone therapy or combined with other treatments such as minoxidil, as I just said, or steroids, vitamins, or even PRP. The delivery system for microneedling is essential. Derma rollers, which is commonly used, can sometimes cause hair breakage, while in contrast derma pens, which is used vertically, often offer a better precision and are less likely to damage the hair and the skin. Therefore, derma pens are generally the preferred choice, and also please remember to do this with caution, guys. I would advise myself with the following statement. When considering microneedling, it's crucial to determine the appropriate needle depth, frequency, and depth selection. Starting with a shallow depth such as 0.5 millimeters is advisable, and gradually increasing the depth as tolerated. Frequency typically range from weekly to 8 weekly intervals, with the optimal schedule depending on the specific needs and response of the individual. And for the side effects, common side effects includes itching, temporary redness, I think it's called erythema, and potential hair shedding in the initial phases. Infections and allergic reactions from local anesthesia, if you use that, I wouldn't recommend it, are possible risks, although these are minimized when the procedure is done under medical supervision. There's also risk of scarring if done incorrectly, emphasizing once again the importance of proper technique. If you want to know more about microneedling, I have a few videos about the subject that I would encourage guys to see before they even start that adventure. But if you are considering microneedling at home, the following guidelines can help ensure safe and effective results. 1. Use a derma pen for precise vertical stamping. 2. Clean the scalp before you do the microneedling. 3. Start with a shallow depth, and 0.5 millimeters actually work. There's studies behind this, so that's what I would suggest. Begin with a single application and increase the numbers as it is tolerated. Never start out wild and just go nuts with it. 5. Initiate with monthly treatments, gradually shortening the intervals. And 6. Always monitor your progress and consult a medical professional for guidance. In conclusion, microneedling can be a valuable tool for hair restoration with proper technique, and it has also been shown to promote hair regrowth and improve the thickness and quality of existing hair. However, it is essential to exercise caution and follow the recommended guidelines and consult with a healthcare provider, especially when dealing with some home application microneedling, as some of you probably already are doing. Your hair's health and safety and your own should always be the top priority. The next subject is highly asked for in the comment section, so I thought it would be of importance to actually give a detailed explanation. Caffeine. So caffeine can be utilized in several ways to address hair loss. The first one is the additive for medication. Some medications formulated for hair loss treatments like finasteride or minoxidil are actually compounded with caffeine. This addition has two potential benefits. Firstly, caffeine is actually believed to enhance the penetration of the medication through the scalp, aiding in absorption into the capillary bed. Secondly, caffeine actually acts as a vasodilator, promoting an increased blood flow to the targeted area, which can stimulate new hair growth. The improved circulation is somewhat an analog to how minoxidil functions, as we learned earlier about in this video. Vasodilation and stimulation. Caffeine, as mentioned earlier, is a vasodilator, which means it widens the blood vessels and improves the blood flow. This increased blood flow can provide vital nutrients and oxygen to the hair follicles, creating a more conducive environment for hair growth. As we just covered earlier in this video, blood flow is a thing you should be concerned about if you are losing hair. And once again, caffeine is a great add-on for this matter. Simply put, DHT blocking. Dihydrotestosterone, also known as DHT, is a hormone known to contribute to hair loss, particularly in men with male pattern baldness. And if you watch the first videos of this series, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen that video, I strongly suggest that you go and take a look at the playlist I called Ultimate Hair Loss Guide and watch from video 1. So caffeine has the unique capability to actually block DHT directly, potentially preventing hair loss. This is different from finasteride, which inhibits the enzyme to lower DHT levels, and pretty similar to RU58841, though much weaker. Application of caffeine. When it comes to caffeine's role in hair loss treatment, topical application is the key. Applying caffeine directly to the scalp has shown promising results. It is important to note that drinking or digesting caffeine in any other way or caffeinated beverages doesn't seem to have any effect. And what does the research say on this matter? While caffeine's impact on hair loss is intriguing, it's essential to recognize that more research is needed to fully understand its potential. Topical caffeine application has demonstrated positive effects in some studies, and its mechanisms of action, such as vasodilatation and DHT blocking, offer a plausible explanation for these outcomes. However, the compound isn't as extensively studied as some other hair loss treatments, so caffeine may not be a miracle cure for hair loss, but it is a stimulating and multifaceted addition to the range of treatments available. Incorporating caffeine into your hair care routine through something as a shampoo or conditioner is definitely the way forward. And last subject of the day, we have peppermint oil. And the reason why I put this last is that honestly, I don't really see its place in hair loss community at this point. So studies show that peppermint oil is comparable to minoxidil, but we already know that caffeine has that exact same property. Also, peppermint oil does not block any kind of DHT from the scalp area, and caffeine does that. So caffeine is up by 1 compared to the peppermint oil on this. Peppermint oil does seem to have vasodilatory properties, just like caffeine. And my last point, studies on peppermint oil are very scarce and does not seem to have a highly qualitative method set up for the study. So my verdict on peppermint oil would be, does it work? Definitely. Do we know how well it works? Kinda yes, we need more and better studies to know this. Can it be replaced by caffeine? Yes. Would I like to add this to a shampoo or conditioner that already contains caffeine? Yes. But for anything else than an add-on to a shampoo or conditioner that's already containing caffeine, I don't really see any other uses for it, unfortunately. And this concludes the third video in the series, the Ultimate Hair Loss Guide. In the next video, we will cover the topic, inflammation and how to reduce it. So guys, that is all I have for you today, and I have nothing left to say except that I hope I see you in the next video. There's one really important factor about inflammation that I think people overlook a lot. One of the problems is that when you have inflammation in your scalp, What is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you have been following this series, you know that currently I'm working on this series that should address all hair loss related topics that you might want to learn about before you start your own fight against hair loss. Today, in our fourth video, we're going to explore a topic that is, in my opinion, often pretty much overlooked, but crucial. scalp inflammation and its impact on hair loss. So first off, I want to start out by explaining the inflammation in hair loss and how it works. Let's start by getting an understanding in what inflammation actually is. In simple terms, inflammation is mine and yours body's response to injury or irritation. It's a signal that something needs to heal or be fixed. But when it comes to our scalp, this inflammation can sometimes go into some kind of overdrive, not only just affecting our skin, but actually also our follicles, and can potentially lead to hair loss. Recent studies have actually shown a clear link between scalp inflammation and various forms of hair loss. Conditions like alopecia areata, which is an autoimmune disorder, and even our good friend, the common male pattern baldness or androgenic alopecia, have both been linked to underlying inflammatory processes. This doesn't mean that inflammation alone causes hair loss, but it is a significant factor that can worsen the condition. The causes of inflammation are pretty various. They can range from environmental factors like pollution and UV exposure to lifestyle factors like diet, stress, and even sleep. And in my opinion, a lot of the hair care products we use can also contribute to these factors. For instance, a diet that is high in processed foods and sugars can contribute to overall inflammation according to studies in the body, and that includes, of course, the scalp. So what does this mean for us? Understanding the role of inflammation in the health of hair is the first step towards addressing hair loss effectively. It is not just about treating the symptoms, but also about identifying and mitigating the underlying causes of the inflammation. Now, in a few seconds, we're going to talk about how to do that with lifestyle changes and treatments that can keep our scalp healthy and our hair strong and thick. So now let's talk about anti-inflammatory strategies for hair health. So here we're going to focus on practical ways to reduce inflammation for better health of our hair. As I just said before, a significant factor is our diet. So I would say eating foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids like salmon, flax seeds, and walnuts can actually help to manage inflammation. Also, antioxidants found in berries, green leafy vegetables, and nuts are also great for fighting inflammation. Stress management is another key area. Chronic stress can also trigger inflammation throughout the body, including once again the scalp. And techniques like meditation, regular exercise, and just getting enough sleep can be detrimental to reducing your inflammation in your scalp. There's one really important factor about inflammation that I think people overlook a lot. One of the problems is that when you have inflammation in your scalp, it will actually lead to increased sebum production. That sebum production usually creates a better place for microorganisms to live in. These microorganisms will cause more inflammation. The problem is when you have more inflammation, you're actually going to react way more negatively to androgenic exposure, like DHT, for example. This will cause your inflammation to grow, and you will create more sebum production, which will create a better living conditions for the microorganisms, and will worsen your inflammation, which will once again worsen your reaction to androgenic exposure. So guys, inflammation, if you are treating androgenic alopecia, is crucial to keep low, to have the minimal exposure or a reaction at least to the androgenic effect that you'll get from your hormones like testosterone or dihydrotestosterone. If you look through my videos, you will see that I made several videos about how to reduce body fat, how you should address the protein causes, and currently I'm looking a lot into sleep and how it affects hair loss. And there's already established a lot of links between really bad sleeping habits and how it affects hair loss. So I would recommend that if you're struggling with hair loss and inflammation is something you worry about, guys, get some decent sleep in there, It's also not just going to help with the hair loss. It's going to help with your mind function. It's going to help with your overall brain function. It's going to help with your body, and you're going to die way older if you get enough sleep. This is not just for hair loss. So personally, I advise the first step is get some quality sleep in and get some quality food and nutrients in there. Also, when it comes to hair care, the products that we use does make a difference. Choosing a vegan natural shampoo with natural ingredients and avoiding harsh chemicals, of course, will prevent unnecessary irritation in the scalp. Once again, I already did a video on how often you actually should wash your hair, and according to science, washing your hair 6 times a week would actually keep the inflammation to a minimum. And it has been linked already and proven in studies that if you wash your hair 6 times weekly, that is going to give you the minimal amount of hair loss and help you to manage that hair loss by probably manage that inflammation. But now that we know that you need to change your lifestyle and we know that inflammation can be the cause of hair loss, what can you actually do on top of that to help yourself? Well, topical treatments and natural remedies can be a more direct approach to treating your inflammation problem. So let's talk about topical treatments and natural remedies for inflammation. One really effective method is using oils. Essential oils are already known for their anti-inflammatory properties. For instance, rosemary oil is not only just used to reduce inflammation, but it also promotes nerve growth. And on top of that, something like peppermint oil can increase circulation, vasodilatation in the scalp, and by using these two things, you can actually get some kind of a dual benefit, you know. Another good remedy is stuff like aloe vera, known for its soothing and also the anti-inflammatory effects. You know, applying aloe vera to the scalp can calm some irritation and it can provide a way more healthy environment for hair growth. On top of that, you know, medical shampoos like ketoconazole, as I talked about a ton of time, or salicylic acid can help reduce the scalp inflammation. But not only that, also the microorganisms living in there, and they're usually the cause of this inflammation. These things are not only useful if you're treating hair loss, they can actually help you treat stuff like dandruff or at least reduce your psoriasis. And these things on top of all can actually also contribute to hair loss. So remember, while these treatments can be effective, it's important to, first of all, patch test any new product that you want to use to ensure that you don't get any adverse reaction. You know, there's nothing worse than applying some product to your scalp and the next day you're red and swollen and you have to go to work like that. So let's say that you want to take it even further. Well, you can always seek out some professional advice or some professional advanced treatments or professional care, whatever you call them. There's some really advanced options out there like the platelet-rich plasma therapy, also known as PRP, or the corticosteroid injections, which are getting increasingly popular. PRP involves using your own blood pellets to stimulate new hair growth, while corticosteroids can reduce inflammation directly at the hair follicles. However, these treatments are way more invasive, and I would really be very considerate with consulting a healthcare professional before I would do any of these kind of treatments. Besides that, you know, a dermatologist or a trichologist can actually provide you with personalized advice based on your specific condition and your medical history. Remember, guys, it is crucial that you know that what might work for one person might not work for other persons. Like, for example, personally, I know that I need to use the ketoconazole shampoo at least once a week. If I don't do that, I start to get that itchy scalp, and I know that's a really bad sign. But on the other hand, probably a lot of you guys have seen this guy, you know, he's using the rosemary oil and he's using it. I believe it's daily that he's using it, and also daily is microneedling on top of that. Now, this is working for him. But personally, I would never do that. I would never microneedle every day. I think it's way too excessive, but for some reason it is working for him. It is working extremely well. But that doesn't mean it's gonna work for you. That is why I usually say that you should test out these things and at least consult a professional if you're gonna do invasive procedures. So to wrap it up, understanding and managing scalp inflammation is a vital part of tackling hair loss. From dietary changes to medical treatments, there are numerous ways to deal with these kind of problems. But you got to remember to approach this journey with patience and care. And you know what, guys? Always seek professional advice when needed. And guys, if you have any good advice on how to deal with inflammation and how to deal with hair loss, I would love to hear them down in the comment section. And besides that, I will see you in the next video. Cheers. What is up, guys, and welcome back to Philippe's Blueprint. Today's video is a special one. We are going to wrap up our in-depth series on hair loss. So far, we journeyed through the causes of hair loss. We looked at how to combat DHT, explored how growth stimulation works, and we tackled the scalp health problem. In this episode, we are piecing it all together. I'll give you a snapshot of our entire journey and then the big finale, a practical, straightforward protocol for hair loss prevention based on everything that we learned in these video series. So whether you are deep into your own hair care journey or just starting out, this video is your comprehensive guide to tackling hair loss head on. First off, let's take a quick look at what we learned so far. And for those of you who feel like you just jumped into the middle of a conversation, this here is the final video of a complete hair loss guide I made for you guys. This is video 5 out of 5 explaining hair loss in detail and how to deal with it. I will though create a video with all of them combined that I'll link to up here, and if you want to watch the videos individually, take a look at the playlist called Hair Loss Guide at my channel. With that said, let's get back to the recap. Recap of video 1 about hair loss and how it works. We started our series by digging deep into hair loss. And guess what? It is not just about genetics. We explored how DHT plays a sneaky role in thinning our hair. This hormone is very helpful during our teens, but later on in life it will turn against us and especially our hairline. Plus, we found out that things like stress and diet aren't just side players. They are major influences in hair health. And that episode was a real eye-opener, revealing that hair loss is way more complex than just genes. Then we had video 2, which is the big bad wolf in hair loss stories, DHT. This episode was a deep dive into fighting back. We talked about heavy hitters like finasteride and or dutasteride and how they can reverse the thinning. And let's not forget about the topical ACEs like RU58841 and pyrolutamide. These guys directly tackle DHT where it hurts, in the hair follicles. This was a true exploration of our arsenal in this hair loss battle. Then we have video 3, which is about mechanisms that will make your hair grow. And it was all about shifting gears from just stopping hair loss to actually getting your hair back. We dived into treatments like minoxidil and saw how it could help restore your hair growth. Then there's microneedling, which is awakening dormant scalp cells. And let's not skip over caffeine and peppermint oil. This episode had a bunch of tools that you could use to stimulate new hair growth in your follicles. Then we had video 4, which was about inflammation, the hidden foe in hair loss. It is probably one of the biggest problems in androgen alopecia and pattern baldness. We dissected its triggers, think about stress, diet and environmental nasties, and laid out a battle plan to combat it. We looked at everything from dietary changes and stress management to gentler hair care and natural soothers like essential oils and aloe vera. And this chapter wasn't just about fighting hair loss, it was in general just about healing and understanding your scalp. We've gone through the nitty-gritty of hair loss in the series. Now it's time to create your own battle plan. I'm here to guide you step by step, so let's just dive straight into it. First up, reducing systemic DHT. Remember, this step isn't for everyone. If you're on board, you got options like finasteride and dutasteride as we discussed in the video 1. And if you're curious about the difference between those two, I got a separate video that covers all of that. But in my opinion, these are the first line of defense against DHC. Then let's talk about local defense against scalp androgens, topical anti-androgens. As we covered also in video 1, your choices range from RU58841, which is my go-to, to KX826 and CB0301. And if you want the dosages and everything about it, check out my also detailed videos on each subject. You can find them in my channel if you search for them. Up next, we got microneedling and minoxidil, just to speed things up. Personally, I prefer just microneedling, as I explained in video 2, but feel free to mix and match or just completely skip these if they're not your thing. And finally, we're gonna tackle inflammation, the big topic of video 4. Your arsenal here, it's nicerol shampoo, rosemary oil, and actually a revamped diet and sleep schedule. Mix, match, skip as you like. The more you add, the more complex your protocol. So choose wisely and don't add just everything in there. To give you guys an example of how a protocol could look like, this is my current protocol. I have finasteride for the systemic DHT, RU58841 for the local DHT or other androgens up there, bi-weekly microneedling to stimulate hair growth, ketoconazole shampoo to fight off all the inflammation in my scalp, and personally it helps for me to steer really clear of processed foods. That is the basics on how you start fighting back against hair loss. And with that said, we have reached the end of our hair loss guide video series. By now, you should be well versed in the hair loss lingo, understanding the basics and what options are out there. We touched on some of the most popular methods, but remember, there's a world of options beyond what we covered. And let's just be honest, the world of hair loss has its definite share of wild theories, so please always filter what you read and hear. And as always, just a quick reminder, I'm not a doctor and neither your mom nor your dad, so before you go switching things up, have a chat with a healthcare professional about your plans. I hope this series has armed you with valuable insights in your own battle against hair loss. Dive into my other videos for more in-depth knowledge, and hey, if you like what you've seen, smash that thumbs up button. It helps me know what content you are into and it supports my channel big time. That's a wrap, folks. Keep learning, stay curious, and I will catch you in the next one.